If you've lived in Trinidad and Tobago your entire life, chances are that every single carrot you've ever eaten has come out of a pre-packaged plastic bag. But wouldn't it be cool to be able to grow your own carrots right at home, fully organic and knowing exactly where it comes from? Wouldn't it be cool to go down to your local vendor, provision vendor, and buy your eddos, your yam, and carrots that you weigh out just like you would anything else? I certainly think so. So that's why in this video, I'm going to show you how to grow your own organic carrots in 5 super easy steps. Hello everyone, thank you all so much for joining in. This is Dylan from the TheTriniGardener channel and I'm super excited for this video. I think this could be a game changer, not just for you, but also for Trinidad in general. I'm going to show you in this video how simple it is to grow carrot in Trinidad. Even though it's a hot climate and carrot is traditionally a cold weather crop, we could do it right here in 5 super easy, simple steps. Let's get to it. Step 1 is going to, of course, be the container that we're going to be growing our carrots in. Despite popular belief, you don't actually need a very special container or a massively deep container for carrots. This container is just around 5 to 6 inches and it'll be perfect for the carrots themselves. Now, I have used different types of buckets in the past. I've used 1-gallon paint buckets. I've used recycled 5-gallon buckets as well. It really doesn't matter as much as you think, as much as the carrots have somewhere to go. All right, now you wouldn't want to give it something flat, all right? But as long as you have at least 5 to 6 inches of depth, you're more than fine. Of course, in your container, you want to make sure that you have at least 1 or 2 drainage holes, right? If your container didn't come with drainage holes or didn't come with good drainage holes, I mean wide drainage holes, which it should have. If it doesn't have that, then do what I did and, just take like a hot knife or something like a hammer and just make the holes wider, because you don't want to have your carrots or any plant in a container becoming waterlogged, because that's going to cause the roots, and especially with carrots, the roots are very important. It's going to cause it to rot. Second step is going to be the question of soil for your carrots. Now have a look here at what I have in this wheelbarrow, and we're going to talk about what I'm going to be using as my growing medium. Now, if you look at this, right, you're probably thinking this doesn't look like soil, because it's not. This is compost. This is wood compost, and that's my growing medium of choice with carrots. If you have your homemade green waste compost that you have from your kitchen scraps, that'll be even better than this. And it's important that when you fill your container up, right, you leave a little bit of space at the top. Now, I know not everyone is going to have access to compost, so here we have a second basically alternative. We have some garden soil here that you can source anywhere that there is ground, basically. Here we have some what we call Pro Mix in Trinidad. Now, Pro Mix is a misnomer. It's just a growing mix that has vermiculite, perlite, and all this black stuff here is just peat moss, right? Which is something that you just harvest out of a bog. It's more or less a moss, right? And it also has some limestone in it. Anyone can get this. You go in an agro shop and ask for Pro Mix. $15, you'll get a bag of it. This is probably like not even a fifth of a bag. And I have a little bit of cow manure and a little bit of wood compost in here as well. But for the most part, if you have the garden soil and the Pro Mix, you can make a fair enough mix. And just if you can get some manure, that will add some much needed nutrition in this. Because Pro Mix itself, and this is something a lot of people don't know, it doesn't have any nutrients at all. You have to add nutrients to this. All right. Okay. So that's going to mix this up. Now, of course, I have the shovel there, but nothing beats getting your hand up in the soil. Right. That connection with nature. Really good. And what these white dots are, this is perlite, and the job of perlite really is just to make sure that you have air pockets in the soil itself, in the mix itself, right? So it doesn't compact, it doesn't go anaerobic, and it allows for good growth in the soil itself. So you can just load this up just like I did the wood compost, and it would be just as fine. So we're going to be growing 2 types of carrots today. Coming close, and I'll tell you the names of the varieties. The first one is going to be the Cosmic Purple Carrot. All right, it's supposed to be a pretty purple carrot. And then this one is just a regular carrot. It's marked carrot. And something you should know is that anytime someone says that, it's just a basic carrot, usually they're talking about a type of carrot that's called the Danver carrot. And the Danver carrot is the most generic carrot that you will think about. If you think about Bugs Bunny eating a carrot, usually it's a Danver carrot that he's eating, and the Danver carrot has different colors. So you have like the orange Danver, which is the most popular, and then you have like the purple Danver, you have the white Danver, and all different types of carrots that are under that type of carrot, which is a really nice meaty carrot, and that's what this is. Now, I have to address something. It's a common misconception, and I don't blame you all at all. I blame just people who either don't know what they're talking about or just fishing for views. So a lie that you can grow a full carrot by using the top of a carrot that you bought, put it in water, and then you can grow an entire carrot. It's so wrong. And that's one of the things that gets people discouraged from gardening, because they get their hopes up. They see this nice thing on Facebook or on YouTube, and basically they tell you that, you know, you can put the top in some water and in a few months you'll have a full carrot. No. What I will do is I'll feed the top and the plant will grow leaves, it'll grow foliage. All right, so if that's your objective, no problem. Go ahead and do that. But don't think you're going to get a carrot root. Some things you can't propagate like that, but not carrots. It doesn't work like that. It's a lie. It's wrong. And please don't, you know, waste your time or get your hopes up too much with those kind of things. Another thing is that people do also germinate the seeds and then try to take out little plants and put it. It is possible. That is, you know, it can work, right? But I don't recommend it because the roots on the seeds are so tiny. The fibers are so tiny. And what you want is the root, and you're going to damage the root by transplanting like that. All right, so your best bet, seeds. It's a good idea to pre-soak your growing medium before planting in, and that helps in making sure that your seeds don't move all the way around when you actually put your seeds in. Okay, so in this container, it's a bit, I'm hoping for a lot here, but I'm hoping to get 8 sets of carrots. You want to make the hole just around 1/2 inch, right? You don't want a deep hole at all. Here are my carrot seeds. As you can see, they're very tiny, so you want to be very careful with them. And with carrots, more is better when you are sowing seeds, because what's going to happen is if you just put 1 or 2 seeds and they don't germinate, you're going to have a hole that's not used. So we put more than we need, and then we thin out by removing any extra that we end up getting, which you don't want to keep. So those are my Danva carrots that I put inside there. These are the cosmic purple carrot. Both of these varieties will mature between 85 and 100 days, so all things being equal, in 3 months we should be having carrots. And now you don't want to heavily cover them at all. You just want to gently press in just a little bit of soil, right? Just like this here. And remember, my medium is already nice and moist, so I don't need to put much water in here, but I'm just going to put just a gentle little sprinkle. Now, this is the tricky part with carrots in the Caribbean, specifically in Trinidad and Tobago, which is that carrots aren't originally a summer crop, and our weather is basically summer weather all year round, right? So the temperatures that are ideal for carrots to grow would be temperatures that are around 15 degrees Celsius to like 25 degrees Celsius. That's the ideal temperature. They can go a little bit higher once the carrots have germinated and they're growing, but to get those seeds to germinate, you don't want it to get too hot, which is what we basically have in Trinidad. So if you were to just go like you would, you know, sow seeds for like corn or whatever, baigan or bodi or whatever, you just till your land, you put your seeds in. The sun in Trinidad is going to fry those seeds, and you're going to lose all your seeds. I'm speaking from experience. I've lost so many seeds just trying to, you know, sow carrots, you know, all over, just trying, right? So the idea would be to put your carrots somewhere where they can get warmth. They do need warmth, because seeds need 2 things to germinate. They need moisture and they need the correct temperature. Those 2 things together is going to allow your carrots to basically germinate, and you can get plants from those seeds. The problem is that you don't want to put them somewhere where they're going to get too much direct sunlight in Trinidad, because that sun is going to destroy those seeds, is going to fry them out, and nothing is going to germinate for you. So what I recommend, put your seeds somewhere like maybe in a garage where they can get some warmth, some indirect sunlight, and maybe you know, just a little bit of sunlight, and make sure they stay moist. Another thing that I do is put it on a windowsill. If you have somewhere that's like maybe gets like some afternoon sun, but maybe not too direct sunlight, so the sunlight is just kind of around, because it will need some warmth from that light, but it doesn't actually need to get that direct sunlight, because it's a fall crop. It's an early spring or a late fall crop originally. And another option for sowing your seeds, if you plan to do it in a raised bed or just in ground, if you want to try that, would be to just come around, you make a very, very shallow trench, slightly cultivate, right? I'm not actually going to be doing this for real. This is just an example. You water in, right? Make sure it's nice and moist. Okay. Right? Make sure it's nice and moist. And then you would just sprinkle your seeds fairly generously, as I said, because we don't know how it's going to germinate, right? Based on the sun and whatnot. Then once you do that, you cover the area. This is just a piece of wood, right? You'd obviously use a longer piece, right? Just cover it down and leave it for probably 10 days before you actually check, right? Because you, of course, don't want the seedlings to come up and not be able to access sunlight. So you just leave it here. The seeds normally take about 10 to 15 days to germinate. So after 10 days, come up, have a little peek. If you see nothing, put it back down. After 15 days, come and check again, and that will help lock in the moisture, and it would help protect the seeds from the sun, right? Remember I said the sun is going to fry those seeds if you allow it to get too much a direct sun. Now, once your carrots germinate, sunlight is very important. Now, I know we want to keep the temperature down as much as possible with carrots, but they are not going to grow if they don't get sunlight. Sunlight is photosynthesis that's going to be happening on those nice carrot greens on the tops, on the foliage, right? It's photosynthesis that's going to be growing your carrots. So if you try to preserve the temperature and not have them in the sun, then you're not going to have the energy that's going to allow the carrots to grow. So it's very, very important that you give it some sunlight. I would say to give it maybe either early morning sun and then shaded for the afternoon, or shade early in the morning and then some afternoon sun. Just don't give it full sun all day like you'd give like a tomato or a bygone, because it really can't handle our sun in Trinidad. Now, if you live somewhere temperate, then give your carrots full sun, because the sun in like New York or France or whatever is not going to be like the sun in Trinidad. Our sun is different, and it's going to not be very good for your carrots to get our sun. They're not designed for that. So the rain is coming down a little bit heavy now. I don't think it's going to stop. So we're going to continue with our carrot talk a little bit later. Okay, so while we wait on the very inconsiderate rain to finish, I thought I'd show you all some carrots that I have growing in a 3-gallon bucket, what you'd consider as a construction bucket or a concrete bucket. I planted these probably 2 months ago, so these are about 60 to 65 days old. Something that you'd probably notice, and I'll bring you all closer to see, is that there's quite a bit of weeds inside here. This is one of the reasons why I switched over to compost, because compost generally is not going to have, because of the composting process, when you do hot composting, which gets rid of the seeds that weeds come from, that means that you're going to have a lot less weeds, or sometimes even no weeds at all in your carrots. The thing about this, and this is very important, is that normally if your normal plants, like your peppers or whatever you plant, has weeds, you go and you pull out the weeds. The roots, however, on carrots, especially when they're very small, they're so tiny and they're so fragile that if you try to pull out, like let's say you have some grass, some whatever kind of grass, not grass or whatever, growing in your container, then the chances are, if it's anywhere in the proximity of your carrot, you're going to end up pulling out a carrot by trying to do some weeding. So my recommendation is either you leave the weeds. I know that's kind of scary to say, oh no, leave the weeds. Or what you can do is you can just pull off the top of the weeds. That's not going to obviously kill the weed because the roots are still down there in your container, but it's going to definitely slow it down, and you'll just have to try to stay on top of it. I just leave the weeds, to be honest, because they do act a bit as ground cover. They don't rub as much nutrients as you might think. And the most important thing is that I don't want to risk hurting a carrot by uprooting a weed. Now, you want to water your carrots once, maybe every 2 to 3 days, depending on the weather. It's very important when you're watering, not just carrots, but any plants, that you listen to the plant and check the soil itself. So have a look with me in the soil, in this bucket here. And I'm going to check to see the moisture to see if I need to put water in here. So I'm just going to try to put my finger down, right? Just try to get through the surface. And for me, this feels fairly dry. So I'm going to come in and water it. Give it a nice drink of water. And once I give this nice drink of water here, even if the sun is really hot, the weather is pretty dry for the next 2 days, I'm not going to water it again because I know that's enough water to hold it in, because you don't want to overwater your plant and make it be too waterlogged. So check your carrots before you water them. Check them, check them every day, obviously, but try not to water them every single day. Now, in terms of fertilizer, if you use a really good compost or you use a good garden soil, you're not going to need any fertilizer, because we try our best on this channel to remain organic. But I do know that I'm going to get some questions from people who go the more inorganic route, which is fine, no judgment at all. Again, I don't really recommend it, but because I know some of you are, accustomed using the fertilizers and the inorganic fertilizers, just for your information, once a month you can give it a feeding of something that's high in nitrogen. It's a common misconception as well that with carrots that you need to focus on the phosphorus, because phosphorus is for our root development. Sure, but the roots themselves, they are created by excess energy that's stored in the leaves. So you need nitrogen for the leaves to be able to send that excess energy down into the roots. So definitely give it your phosphorus, give it your potassium, which is very important for your root crops. Again, you don't need it. I'll keep on saying that because it's very, very true. You don't need any of those fertilizers. But if you do want to, nitrogen once a month for the first 2 months. And then on the third month, you can pump some phosphorus and more potassium on there, okay? And the very last thing that I'd like to say is be patient with yourself with this carrot game. We don't live in the ideal temperature or the ideal climate for carrots. So be patient. If you plant your carrots and the seeds don't germinate the first time, try again and keep on trying. And if they germinate and you have nice foliage and then pests come in and eat out all that foliage, overnight, don't give up, try again. And if you have your carrots that are growing and they come almost ready to harvest, and you pull up one like I did in my last video and it started to rot or something was eating it, because we have so many pests here in the Caribbean because it's so humid and so hot, then try again. Don't ever give up. And I'll recommend all of you to look at my carrot fail video that I'll put up right here, so that you can see what my first harvest of carrots was, rainbow carrots, and it was not a pleasant experience. It was a learning experience, sure, but I would have liked to get better carrots. But the point is, don't give up. It's possible. Just keep on trying, keep on doing it, and you're going to get there. And that's how it's just to grow your own organic carrots right at home. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, but more importantly, I hope that you learned something from this video. Now go start mass producing carrots in Trinidad. I really want to start supporting your small local businesses and eventually big businesses, because I believe in you. And I also think that a locally grown organic carrot is going to taste 10 times better than anything I can buy from a foreign country. Remember, you can follow us on Instagram and now on Facebook at TheTriniGardener. Just look us up, easy to find. And remember to tag us on Instagram and on Facebook when you have your nice harvest. We're super happy to see people getting up and getting growing. It encourages us, it motivates us to continue doing these videos and to continue sharing in the joy of gardening. Remember, if you know someone who can benefit from this information, share this video with them to help them grow more food for themselves and their family. Remember, as always, this has been Dylan from the TriniGardener channel, reminding you to get up and get growing. Take care.